Hey, listener. Welcome to your personalized deep dive. You ready to really nail that clothing cutter interview?
I think we can help with that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So we've got three incredible resources to guide us through this whole thing. We've got a detailed career guide, a practical interview guide just packed with questions, and then insights into how RoleCatcher's AI can give you that extra little boost.
It's a fantastic role. And as we go through this, you'll see that blend of technical skill and that artistic side come through.
Absolutely. I won't spend the bulk of our time tackling those make or break interview questions, but we're also going to sprinkle in some of those super interesting career insights and how RoleCatcher can really be your secret weapon.
It's like your interview boot camp. You'll be ready.
Totally. Okay, so first things first, let's paint a super clear picture. What does a clothing cutter actually do? I was going through the career guide and it really struck me. It's so much more than just snipping fabric.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's about taking a designer's vision, interpreting those patterns, and then meticulously bringing it to life in fabric. That precision is key.
It really is.
A tiny miscalculation can throw off the whole production process.
Absolutely. And the guide actually mentioned this example where there was a small cutting error on a batch of silk blouses, and it ended up leading to a huge loss for the company. It just really highlights the responsibility level.
For sure.
So listener, what is it about this work that really excites you? What drew you to this field?
Yeah, what gets you going?
Okay, now let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The interview prep, the RoleCatcher interview guide is like a gold mine of potential questions.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's tackle a classic. Can you describe your experience with pattern making?
All right. With this one, the interviewer is really checking your understanding of the fundamentals. Do you speak the language of patterns?
Right.
Even if you haven't worked professionally with pattern making, think about any experiences that show you get the core concepts.
Yeah.
Like maybe you've altered clothing, followed sewing patterns, or even designed your own costumes. It's about showing you've got that foundation to build on. For sure. Exactly. You could say, while my experience is primarily, and then you mention your relevant experience, I've always been fascinated by how patterns create structure and form. I'm eager to learn those professional pattern-making techniques and contribute my skills.
And remember, the interviewer might follow up with something like, what kind of patterns are you most familiar with? Or can you describe a time when you had to adapt a pattern? So have a few specific examples up your sleeve.
Yeah, be ready. Preparation is key. That's where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy. Their AI interview practice tool. It lets you rehearse your answers and get feedback on how you're delivering it. Even analyzes your body language.
That's incredible. Like a virtual coach.
It is.
Okay, let's move on to another common question. How do you ensure accuracy and precision when cutting fabric?
All right, this one's all about showing your meticulous approach. You're working with valuable materials, and every cut counts. The interviewer wants to see that you understand the importance of minimizing waste and staying consistent.
And the career guide mentions that different fabrics behave differently, which adds a whole other layer.
Right. So you want to show off that knowledge of fabric properties. You could say, I always double-check my measurements, make sure my tools are sharp. Pay close attention to the grain and the stretch of the fabric. For slippery fabrics like silk, I use weights and a rotary cutter just to maintain control and accuracy.
That's a great example of showcasing your expertise. The interviewer might also ask, what steps do you take to avoid common cutting errors? Be ready to discuss your quality control methods. Now, listener, let's put those problem-solving skills to the test with this question. Can you describe a time when you had to troubleshoot an issue with a garment during the cutting process?
Ooh.
So this is where you really shine a light on your ability to think on your feet and find solutions.
For sure.
Even if you haven't worked as a clothing cutter before, think of a time when you had to identify a problem, analyze it, and then come up with a fix.
Right. Could be anything from a DIY project gone wrong to a work challenge that needed some creative thinking. You're highlighting those transferable skills.
Exactly. And remember, structure your answer using the STAR method: situation, task, action, result. Keeps your story concise and impactful. And the interviewer might dig deeper with questions like, what did you learn from that experience? Or how would you approach a similar situation differently in the future?
You're showing that you're always learning and improving, always growing.
Absolutely. Now let's shift gears to a question that emphasizes safety consciousness.
Uh-huh.
How do you ensure that you are working safely when using cutting tools?
Okay.
So the career guide mentions some potential hazards like repetitive strain injuries and accidental cuts. So it's clear that employers put a big emphasis on safety.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is your chance to show that you're committed to a safe work environment. Mention specific precautions you take. like wearing safety glasses, using the correct tools for the job, and keeping your workspace organized. You could say, I always prioritize safety by following established procedures, using appropriate safety equipment, and maintaining a clean and organized work area to minimize risks. I'm also proactive about reporting any potential hazards.
I like that. And don't forget to mention any relevant safety training you've had. The interviewer might ask follow-up questions like, what's the most important safety rule you follow? Or, how would you handle a situation where a colleague was not following safety protocols?
Right. You really need to show that you're not only aware of those safety measures, but you actively champion them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do a few more rapid-fire questions just to give you a taste of the variety you might encounter.
All right, let's do it.
First up, can you describe how you take measurements for a garment?
All right, this one gets into the technical side of measurement techniques. Think about body landmarks, measuring tools, and that importance of accuracy.
The career guide actually had this great visual showing those key body landmarks for taking accurate measurements.
Oh, cool.
Listener, you might not be asked to physically demonstrate this during the interview, but be ready to articulate your process clearly.
For sure.
Here's another one. Can you describe how you organize your work area to ensure efficiency? This might seem simple, but it's about showing off your organizational skills and your understanding of workflow.
Right, because a well-organized workspace means efficiency, reduced errors, smoother production. You can mention things like keeping your tools handy, having a designated cutting area, labeling your fabric pieces clearly.
Awesome tips. Okay, listener, you've already tackled so much. We've got a solid foundation for those essential questions, but there's still more to unpack.
There is.
In the next segment, we're going to dive deeper into RoleCatcher's AI and those career insights that can really set you apart from the competition. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. Are you ready for round 2 of this interview prep?
Let's do it. We've got more questions to tackle and even more ways that RoleCatcher can help you shine.
For sure. The more you practice, the better you'll feel going into that interview.
Absolutely. Okay, let's jump right into it with this question. What are some of the challenges you've faced when working with different types of fabrics, and how did you overcome them?
Okay, so this is about showcasing your experience and how you adapt. The interviewer wants to know you can handle different materials, and if any issues pop up, you've got this.
It's a chance to really highlight those moments where you learned something new
Mm-hmm.
or you mastered a technique that was a little bit tricky.
Yeah, maybe you figured out that a certain type of silk needed a little extra TLC to prevent puckering, or you had to adjust your cutting speed for a thick wool blend. Share those stories and what you learn.
Yeah, and the interviewer might follow up with, what's your go-to method for preventing fabric from fraying? Or how do you handle it when the fabric isn't lying flat on the cutting table? So have a few scenarios ready to go.
Yeah, that preparation. It's like having a mental toolbox full of solutions.
Speaking of preparation, let's talk about RoleCatcher's AI interview practice tool again. I was so impressed by its ability to analyze body language.
It's pretty cool. It can pick up on things like fidgeting or lack of eye contact, stuff that can really subtly undermine your confidence.
It's like a personal stylist for your interview presence.
It is.
All right, let's shift gears to a question that's all about staying ahead of the curve. How do you stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies in the fashion industry?
Ooh. Okay, so the fashion industry, it's always changing. So showing that commitment to continuous learning, that's key.
It shows the interviewer you're passionate and you're ready to grow.
Think about the resources you use. Do you have any favorite fashion publications? Do you go to industry events, take online courses, share those examples? It shows you're proactive.
And don't be afraid to mention any personal projects you've done or experiments you've tried to explore new techniques or sustainable materials.
Yeah, it shows initiative and genuine interest. The interviewer might ask, what's a recent trend that you've noticed and how you see it influencing garment construction? Be ready to share your thoughts.
Okay, now let's talk teamwork. Can you describe a time when you had to collaborate effectively with others to achieve a common goal?
Okay, so as a clothing cutter, you're part of a bigger team. Collaboration is essential.
It's not just about working alongside other people. It's about communication coordinating and everyone being on the same page.
Right. Think about a time when you worked on a project that needed everyone to be on the same page. Maybe you had to delegate tasks or make sure everyone understood the goal. It could be from a past job volunteering or even a group project in school.
The STAR method is a great way to structure this answer, too. Helps highlight those collaborative actions that led to success.
Right, and be prepared for follow-up questions, like what role do you typically play in a team, or how do you handle conflicts or disagreements?
Now, for the question that sometimes makes people a little uncomfortable, what are your salary expectations?
Yeah, it's a common question, but it can be a little tricky. The key is to do your research. Be prepared.
RoleCatcher actually has this awesome salary insights tool. You can search by job title and location to get an idea of that average salary range.
Exactly. And consider your own experience, your skills, and what the role requires.
You could say something like, based on my research and experience, I'm looking for a salary in the range of, and then insert that range. But I'm open to discussing this further based on the compensation package and the growth opportunities within the company.
That shows you've done your homework and you're approaching it professionally. Okay, last question. Do you have any questions for us?
This is your time to shine. Show them you're curious and engaged.
It's also a chance to get some valuable info that can help you decide if this is the right fit for you.
Go beyond those basic questions about salary and benefits. Ask about the company culture, their sustainability practices, the opportunities for professional development.
For example, you could ask, what does a typical career path look like in this role? Or can you tell me more about the company's approach to ethical sourcing and production?
Asking those insightful questions, it shows you're not just looking for a job. You're looking for a place where you can grow and contribute.
Exactly, and it leaves a good impression, shows that genuine interest.
All right, listener, we've covered a ton of ground on those interview questions, but there's one more piece of the puzzle. RoleCatcher's AI and those career insights that can really take your job search to the next level.
Let's unpack that in the next segment.
And we're back, listener, for the final stretch of our deep dive. It's time to unlock the power of RoleCatcher's AI and those career insights that can take your clothing cutter journey to the next level.
Absolutely. So we've talked about those interview questions. Now it's about crafting applications that really stand out and understanding the bigger picture of your career.
Totally. So let's start with RoleCatcher's AI CV and resume tailoring. It's like having a personal branding expert fine-tuning your materials.
Yeah, it goes way beyond just looking for keywords. RoleCatcher's AI actually looks at the job description and suggests ways to highlight the skills and experience that are most relevant.
It's about presenting the best version of yourself for that specific opportunity.
Right.
And it saves you so much time.
That's
Okay? And remember that AI interview practice tool we talked about. It's not just about analyzing your body language. It actually gives you personalized feedback on your delivery, your tone, even the content of your answers.
It's like having a mock interview with an expert.
Totally. Okay? And let's not forget about those career insights from the RoleCatcher Career Guide. Remember those growth paths we mentioned? This guide really breaks them down.
It does. And it's amazing to see how a clothing cutter role can lead to so many different things.
It really is.
You could specialize in a certain type of garment, like bridal wear or menswear, or become an expert in a specific fabric, like silk or leather. You could even go into design or pattern making.
I was really interested in the section on entrepreneurship. Imagine starting your own clothing line. This role gives you those hands-on skills and that industry knowledge to make that happen.
It's about finding what you're passionate about and going for it. And remember, the fashion world never stops evolving, so keep learning.
Right. The guide really stresses that. Staying updated on new technology, sustainable practices, new trends. It's so important.
It's a journey, a lifelong journey of discovery and growth. There are workshops, online courses, industry events, so many ways to stay inspired and ahead of the game.
We've covered so much today, listener, from nailing those interview questions to exploring all the possibilities of a clothing cutter career.
Yeah, it's been great.
Remember, preparation is key. Practice your answers, tailor your application materials, and use RoleCatcher's AI to your advantage.
It's a game changer.
But most importantly, embrace the journey. This is a field that rewards passion, creativity, and a real love for the craft.
One last tip. Before that interview, take some time to research the company and their style. Understanding their aesthetics shows real interest, and it can help you fine-tune your answers.
That's a great tip. We wish you all the best in your interview and in your future as a clothing cutter.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check out RoleCatcher. It's a fantastic resource for anyone who's looking for a job.
Keep learning, keep creating, and keep shining. We'll see you next time.